Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and we are here today to rank the women's roster from top to bottom on pretty much everything. How good they're doing right now, overall, where they're pretty much power ranking, I guess is the best way of saying it. So, obviously, S tier being the people that are in the main event scene, major TV, all that jazz. And then obviously D being like, I don't even know where this person is. So let's start with Asuka. She's that perfect example to put into A, where she's definitely in that main event storyline, but she obviously is doing different things. I think she's definitely doing the tag stuff. I think her with Rhea Ripley at some point is going to absolutely cook, and that will lead into her versus Io Sky, who may or may not have the championship at that point, which would also make that match cook even more. So I think perfect A spot for Asuka. Really good spot to be in for her because she's like right in there of being in a major storyline but hasn't quite gotten over. So we'll see. Next up is Bailey. I think she is another good one to have. Like these are perfect people to have starting off because they really help you know what your scale is going to be. I put Bailey in B because she obviously is just kind of removed from being in PLEs and major events. She gets the TV time. It's only really promos, but I think they're building something for a big character change that will hopefully put her back right up into the main event. So I think B is that solid spot where we see her, we know her, she's there, but there's a good shot that like we probably won't see a match from her anytime soon, but she gets some screen time at least compared to some of the other people. Obviously, next we got Becky Lynch. I think what she's had so far this year has just been great. Ever since she's been back and with her IC title reign and with their stuff with Lyra Valkyrie and all that, it's been main event worthy. Sometimes even like on cards, like the Evolution card, her match with Lyra and Bailey could have been the main event, and I don't think anybody would have been upset with it. Obviously, we ended up having the cash in, so out of hindsight, it makes sense. But that match on paper before that seemed like it was going to be there, and she's had one of the better matches in almost every PLE that she's been in. So I think Esther is perfect. Obviously, she's going to have a huge program probably here with AJ Lee. So I'm excited to see what happens. Next up is Ivy Nile. We have not seen Ivy Nile at all. She kind of was supposed to be kind of pushed in that whole like IC title reign area, but I think she's just kind of lost the momentum. It's the same thing with the Creeds. They're not even shown. They're not really done anything, and her especially has just kind of been completely put away. And so I'm gonna have to put her in D. Next up is Io Sky. I mean, obviously Io Sky has been doing absolutely amazing work. She's been getting a lot of TV time, and she's going for the title at WrestlePalooza against Stephanie Fracour. So I think that's an easy S tier, as she's been getting nothing but just great momentum. Next up is Kairi Sane. I think she's a little bit lower than Asuka because she's in that storyline. Obviously, she's kind of stuck in the tag team stuff. She did have a nice push before that. Like, I think a couple months ago, we could have possibly put her in the A area, being like she's getting a decent push, and she seemed like she was going to do stuff. But once Asuka came back, they obviously tagged them back up, which is still a good call. But obviously, that only gets you so far. So I'm gonna put her up in B. I mean, constantly being on the TV program and also being a highlight because everybody's like, "Oh, this is the way Asuka's treating her," and people are talking about her is still a really good thing. At least being on the show. Next up is Liv Morgan. This one's just kind of a default D just because she's injured. It's nothing against her, but that's where we got to put her. Next up is Lyra. She's kind of been slipping. I would have definitely had her in the power rankings of like A or maybe even S tier in the last couple months, but now she's kind of sit in the back for promos. I think she's definitely going to get something soon, so I'm gonna put her in B. I think she's just right sitting outside of that, but I would not be surprised if she's A or S tier in the next couple weeks. Next up is Maxine. She just recently had a title match. It wasn't anything too crazy. I think I'd put her in C. Like she does get some screen time, but I don't think we'll see her. I think like by the time we do this next one, we won't have seen her more than maybe once. Same thing with Natalia. I mean, at least Natalia's getting a lot of other avenues. She was on Evolve, she was on AAA, and she's gonna be in another AAA one. So I think all of that at least is something, but it's just not the same when you think about it. Nikki Bella, who just came off of being in a storyline with Becky Lynch, I think is a solid A. I think she'll probably fall back a little bit more. You never know. I don't know if they were necessarily happy with her performance at Clash of Paris, so there's a good possibility she's gonna sit there. Raquel Rodriguez, with them not having the tag team titles, I think they kind of slide to the A slot. I'll put both of them in there because they're working together. I think they're still shown a lot, and I think they're going to get a lot of good matches. But them being kind of a tag team and them, doing stuff without those titles, they just don't get that opportunity to, be shown as much as they should. Rhea Ripley, I think she put it right next to Asuka. On storylines, I think she's going to be there, and I think she's going to have a really good rivalry with Asuka. So I'm really excited for this. It's been a slow burn, but we've seen her on Raws doing matches. I mean, we've seen a lot of her, so it's a pretty solid spot to be in. Stephanie Vercour, obviously she has that title opportunity very soon, but I don't feel like they've been using her that much since then. It kind of sucks because we want to see more of her. I'll put her in A. Obviously, you can't discount that she's going to have an opportunity to be a world champion in a couple of weeks, but I don't think I'd put her higher than that because we haven't really got to see her as much. Zoe Stark obviously goes down to D, another injury, so it makes sense. We got AJ Lee. She just came back in SmackDown, so obviously we don't know what her extent of everything is, but I could think we can easily put her in A because she's going to be on every show that she physically can be because they're going to make it work. Alba Fire, constant, kind of jobber type thing, right? Lately, they just have her going out there. She deserves way better. Her and the Secret Service, I would put in a solid B. They get screen time. They are out there either as backup for Chelsea Green. I'll even put Chelsea Green up there. Chelsea Green could be a little bit higher because she's also been working in NXT, but I think solid B. Like, these are people that get screen time, that are talked about, have opportunities for matches, but they're not necessarily in that scene. Then we'll put the tag team champs up in A. I think it's a good, solid area to have them. They have gotten some storylines and getting some good stuff. I think they're really destined to be in S tier, like, very recently, like, because they are really working on that tag division with NXT having some matches. And I wouldn't be surprised if they have to defend those titles against the Kabuki Warriors soon, too. So I think that's cooking up a lot more spots for people. B-Fab, they've kind of just taken away from her being a wrestler. I mean, I think she's full-time manager now, so I'll put her in C. I think we still at least get to see her, but I wouldn't be surprised if she's lower. Next up is Bianca. She gets the D slot just because, injury and all that. Unfortunately, I'm going to put Naomi also there. I'm trying to think who else is injured. Rizzo's injured. I think that's about it from what I can see. I should have looked at that ahead of time, but yeah, I think that's the best way of putting it. Candice LeRae, she obviously just was on NXT doing the speed stuff. I think she's been getting a little bit more screen time. I'll put her in C. I'm cautiously optimistic that she'll get a little bit more time, but you could put her in D, and I don't think anybody would be upset. This one pains me, but Julia, I think, is in B. I mean, they don't treat her like a champion, and it's kind of unfortunate because I think she really is destined to have a lot more screen time and a lot more stuff, but they just don't let her do it. Next up is Jade Cargill, number one contender. Had some pretty decent storyline. I think is a solid A. You could argue that she's also in S tier, and I wouldn't really probably say no because there's a good shot. James, being Julia's manager, I think I'd put her slightly in C. She only had that 5-second match, and she's getting a little bit of screen time, but we still haven't quite seen what they're going to do with her. Meacham, again, just had the U.S. title shot, but really isn't used super often, so I'll put her in C. Nia Jax, she's getting some NXT stuff, but maybe put her in B. It's like one of those things where she's very close to, like, kind of fading, but, like, at any moment she could be right to the back to the top. Nikki Cross, kind of always with the why it's sick. I guess I'd put her in C. Like, she gets some screen time, but sometimes you barely even see her in that. Tiffany Stratton, I think you'd be a pretty solid case for S tier. Obviously, champion. She gets a lot of time, with that. Even when she's not defending the title on the show, she always gets at least a segment to say something. So, you get that. And she's had some pretty solid title defenses. She's really due for one. So I wouldn't be surprised if WrestlePalooza ever get one. Zelina Vega just kind of absolutely disappeared after losing to Julia. So I guess I'll put her in C. Like, she's had some time, but not that much. Next up is Ariana Grace down in NXT. She's gotten more screen time lately, but really not to do much other than do, like, the little adverbs basically, and just, that's it. So I guess put C. At least get to see her. Blake Monroe, probably one of the hottest commodities in NXT. They haven't really decided what exactly she's doing, but I would still put her in A because she's on the show, and I think she's going to be on the show a lot. Brynley Reese, she was doing some Evolve tapings, but it's been a bit, so I think I'd put her down in D. I don't think, for at least NXT wise, if we're talking about that, I don't think she really has gotten any. Fallon Headley, constantly out there, sometimes matches. B is a pretty solid area. Izzy Dame, I'm gonna pretty much put Fatal Influence and Tina Paxley. Izzy Dame. What is it? The Culling. Where's the last one? Oh, Jasmine Nix. All of them get good screen time. They get matches. They get a little bit of everything to be shown off. Nothing really too crazy because they're on the card and like doing stuff, but it's really not for them. It's just kind of the further other feuds. Jace, I would probably put her in a solid, A. I mean, was a double champion. She had some really good screen time. I could almost put her in S tier if it wasn't that I think they just haven't made her title run feel legit yet. Jada Parker gets some decent matches, been get some decent opportunities. I think B's pretty solid. Jordan Grace, again, she's had some good feuds, but like they haven't pulled the trigger on her. I'll put her in A. I do think she's still gonna get that opportunity, but I don't know. Carmen Petrovic kind of been gone down to NXT or Evolve, so I don't really think we should put her anywhere higher. Kalani Jordan, solid matches, get some screen time. B is a good place. Lash Legend, another one. That's the cool thing with NXT. If you look at a lot of the women in their division, they just get on the card a lot more. They just get on the TV program in some way, especially in matches. So put her up in B. Lola Vice, I'd actually put up in A because of all the stuff she's doing in AAA. She's getting way more eyes on her compared to any other product. Next up is Nikita Lyons, another one down in Evolve. Put her down in D. Sol Ruka, double champion. I honestly am going to put her up in S tier because she is used so much because of that. She's in everything. She's in the tag team gauntlet. She has her North American title. She has a better title run and better like booking than the actual NXT title. So I honestly could say you could put her in S. She's on every show. She's on almost every PLE in some way, especially the whole entire year. So she deserves that. Fear Hale got a little bit of booking, but it didn't last super long. I'll put her in C. I think it's destined for more. Wendy Chu is on Evolve, so I'll put her down there. Rin Sinclair, she gets quite a bit of screen time. Sometimes not really with matches, but I do enjoy her. She's one of my favorites, so I'm gonna put her in C. Zarya, I'd put in B. She's always with Sol Ruka. Doesn't always get a match, but sometimes you just don't need that. You just gotta get on the card somehow, and that's what happens. So yeah, that's where my ranking is. Tell me what you guys think. Obviously, some of those A's could be an S depending on how you feel, but this is what I'm thinking. So tell me what you guys are thinking, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.